Okay, so let me just move. Okay, perfect. So I'm not sure if Stacy shared the origin story of Young Living Foundation, but the foundation started with a legacy of service. Gary Young, who started Young Living in 1994, was always just trying to figure out ways to care for people, whether it was through providing oils or different products or just showing up and making breakfast for people at Gold Retreat. He was the most service-hearted person that I have ever heard of. And that got taken even further back in 2009 as he was visiting the farm in Ecuador. So the farm was being created, and Gary and Mary, they would drive through this little windy road. And like Stacy mentioned, there was this building, this like cinder block building that was just not good. It was dilapidated. It was torn down. The door was hardly on the hinges. And Gary, being the curious man that he was, finally one day he pulled over and he was like, what is going on? Why are all of these kids coming and going from this building every time I pass it? And so he walks up to the building and peeks his head in and sees over 40 children of different ages learning from a single teacher. That sometimes they showed up, sometimes they didn't, but it was a bunch of different ages learning the same thing. And it was so beautiful how passionate and how hungry these students were to learn. And Gary just said, look, if we're coming into this community, we're going to make it a community change. It's not just going to be about the land that the farm's on. It's not just going to be just about the employees. We're going to come in and we're going to pour ourselves into this community and change it. And that's exactly what he did. So since then, there were 42 students. They bought some land right next to the farm, and they built this beautiful school that you can see in this picture here. It now has 350 students in it. And since it started, there's been 112 students that have graduated, with over half of those going on to further their education through secondary school, like university or a trade school. And my goodness, they are literally changing their lives. This is generational change that is happening within this community, because these parents, a lot of them don't have the opportunity to go to school, and they don't have that opportunity to not be defined by their circumstances as much. And so because of the work of Young Living and the Young Living Foundation, these lives are being changed. And if you guys haven't been, my goodness, these kids are amazing. Like, I want to just hang out with them every day. They are confident, they are smart, they are bilingual. There's so many amazing things about these students that, whether or not we were furthering their lives, they're just amazing people. Like, you walk into that place and you can just tell that it is good and it is pure, and that there are really, really amazing things happening on a macro level of the academy and on a micro level of each individual student. But we didn't stop there. So our mission at the Young Living Foundation is simple. It's to protect and empower our world's young. And that is so broad. And we love how broad it is, because there's so much good that can take place in this world. But we simplified it into 3 core pillars. Our first one being championing education. Obviously, the academy falls into that, and we've expanded it even further from just our academy. We also have some other scholarship programs around the world. We have a scholarship organization called Escalera in Mexico, in Chiapas, the poorest country in Mexico, and they focus on finding students who need that hand up, and are going to go even further in life and provide scholarships to these students in Chiapas. But aside from just the traditional form of education through schools like UA in India, which is another one where, my goodness, one of the kids just graduated from this high school and she's on her way to Harvard, I believe, is we offer other forms of education. Soul Hope is a partner of ours that's been a partner for a while now, since 2015. And what Soul Hope is they, it's in Jinja, Uganda, and they focus on these little sand gnats that are called jiggers. And these jiggers, they burrow their way into your hands and your feet and your hips, wherever they can. And then they lay eggs, and then these eggs multiply, and it just becomes this really, really sad multiplication of these critters existing in and on people's bodies. Well, in Uganda, most people believe that this is a curse, that these people have done something really, really bad that's caused them to get jiggers. When in actuality, it's because they're unaware of the hygiene that's required for these jiggers to fall off their bodies. The hygiene in this is you just need to shower or wash your hands and feet once in 24 hours, and they won't be able to latch on or burrow their way into their bodies. And so Soul Hope has taken on this incredible task of removing the stigma behind jiggers. You aren't cursed. And are teaching them that all you need to do is wash your hands, wash your feet. And the way they do it is so cute. They go into different schools. They have an entire process where kids get, they get their feet washed, and then they go to this next station. And in that station, they have some workers who search for jiggers and then pull them out with a safety pin, believe it or not. And then have them go and pick the shoes. And they have done this in a way that makes it fun and inviting and invigorating, honestly. Like, you want to be a part of this. So they've really done a great job at taking care of schools. I know, Stacy, it is a game changer when you see these kids. It's a game changer when you see the change that's happening just because of a sand flea. Like, they get so bad that you can't run, they can't walk to school. And so they're missing out on so many different opportunities because of a silly little sand flea that is like smaller than the tip of your fingernail. Additionally, obviously, if the kids are experiencing it, the adults are experiencing it at a large scale as well. There was this one woman, her name was Grandma Kay, and she was very, very old. And the family, she had thousands of jiggers on her, and they thought she was cursed. And so they put her in a shed, and they locked the door from the outside and was like, figure out a way to get rid of this curse, Grandma Kay, or you're not getting out. Well, luckily, the community had heard about this, and as Soul Hope was going around introducing their work to them, they heard about this Grandma Kay woman. And so they came and they opened the door, and they took her to this, it's called the Soul Hope Center, which is actually sponsored by the foundation. And they removed all of her jiggers. It took weeks for healing. Education was a part of that. And now she is jigger free. She understands how to keep them off of her body. And she just grins from ear to ear. Like, she has now become a beacon in her community for what it is to be jigger free and how we can remove those. So education is not only the traditional form of education through school, but it's also through so many different beautiful channels of educating about life, about improvement, about all of the different things that we all need. Okay, so our next pillar is a newer thing for Young Living. It's our developing enterprise pillar. So what this is developing enterprise opportunities for women around the globe. So we're currently in about 15 different artisan groups around the globe. And what an artisan is it's somebody who makes a handcraft. You've probably seen these items at convention, at the most recent holiday catalog, previous holiday catalogs, PV promos. There's been so many things that corporate has grasped onto our developing enterprise pillar, and they're now folding this into their daily practices. So these 15 groups that we've partnered with, we have confirmed that they give their employees fair pay, that it's a good work environment. There's no sweatshops. It's very open. They have food. If they need medical care, there's a place where they can go to get medical care. It is a holistic care for these women groups. And it is absolutely beautiful. Like, if you saw the videos at convention, this is in a video right here. And there's just kids running around playing. There's kids sitting on these moms' laps as they're making money so they can feed their kids, so they can pay for their school, so they can, again, break that generational cycle and teach their kids that you don't have to be defined by what is. Everything is about teaching, is about helping. Our biggest goal is to break that generational cycle. So many people, like I've mentioned, are just defined by their past, defined by their parents' past, defined by their grandparents' past, especially overseas. And so to be able to stop on that and create a new normal for these families moving forward is one of the most encouraging things that I personally think that the foundation does. Not only is it just products, but we're also investing in some small businesses. So there was an organization in India that needed some sewing machines, and their sewing machines, the goal is that they're becoming seamstresses in their own town. And so they're not necessarily making products that we can then purchase and turn around and sell to the Young Living marketplace and then reinvest that money into our developing enterprise pillar. But we're also giving them the ability to have small businesses of their own. We all know Young Living is comprised of mostly women entrepreneurs. And so to be able to talk about our developing enterprise pillar and show that these women are just like us, Young Living business builders, just born in a different part of town, is really, really amazing. One of the coolest groups, in my opinion, is a group actually out of Utah. It's a group that's called Free Women. And the leader of this group, her name is Hanifa, and she is an Afghan refugee. So she was in Afghanistan and then went to Pakistan and then fled for asylum and ended up here, of all places. And my goodness, you guys, she is fierce. Like, she just got engaged, and listening to her, she's like, no. My man I'm keeping my job. He can have his own money. I have my own money. Like, she is so spicy, and it is just the most beautiful, encouraging thing. Like, even I walked away and was like, oh yeah, I need that mindset. So what they actually specialize is in cork bags. So if you saw the cork bag, it was handmade by women here in Utah. Since the whole sadness happened in Afghanistan, a lot more women have come out here. And Hanifa has been working to connect her women's group with these other women who are from Afghanistan, so they can still make a means. They can still take some of their tactical learning that they learned back home and incorporate it into their new lives here in America. Absolutely beautiful. If you haven't got the bags, they're still on sale. We're working on figuring out how we can separate the oils from them so we can buy them at a cheaper price for you guys. So if you want them, just hold on a second and we'll see what we can do. Our third and final pillar is our ending exploitation pillar, which I'm not allowed to have a favorite pillar. Jordan, it's the cork bag. It was the Peace and Calming cork bag that was launched at convention. And it's made of cork. It's sustainably harvested. Like, when they go to these different trees, they don't cut down a single tree. They just take the branches that have fallen, and they, so some of these trees are like 2,000 years old. So, like, not only are we careful with our seed to seal process at Young Living, but we're also carrying that over into our products with our different artisan groups that we're working with. So ending exploitation, I could talk for hours, you guys. I don't even have a script. I'm just talking because I love the foundation so much. So ending exploitation, I'm not allowed to have favorites, but I do. This is my favorite. Ending exploitation is all about trafficking. It's about figuring out how we can end human trafficking within our generation. And most people, when they think of trafficking, they just think sex trafficking. Like, when I first started with the foundation, I just thought, like, people would break into people's bedrooms and just steal kids. Like, that was how much I didn't understand the whole world of trafficking. But now I understand that there's domestic servitude, there's labor trafficking, there's sex trafficking, there's more than just the kinds of trafficking that we know. And even with sex trafficking, like, a lot of these parents, they don't have a lot of options. Like, in some of these more rural areas, they'll have 7 to 11 children. These uncles, is what they call them, will move into these towns and befriend these vulnerable women who just need a little bit of help. And they can't read, they can't write. And so these uncles are like, you know what? let me take your daughter. Let me take your daughter and I will get her educated and then she'll send money back to you and you'll have a better life because of her. And the mom's like, that sounds good. Like we always, as parents, what we want is a better life for our children than we had, right? Like we want to provide them with the best life that we possibly can. And so they like give this mom a piece of paper and she signs it thinking that she's like signing them going to school. But in actuality, she just signs the rights away from a kid. And then they take them over the border and they get entered into some trafficking ring and they're never to be seen again. One of my, so when I started, I was over all of our service trips when they were still happening. And I went to Cambodia and you guys, I was the leader of that trip and I should have not been the leader. Like I should have been a passenger on that trip because it was too much for me to handle. So what we do is we go to Cambodia and then we go to what's called a lighthouse. The foundation actually sponsors 11 lighthouses around the world. And what a lighthouse is it's the place right after a girl or boy is rescued from the cops or a bus or whatever it is. Hope for Justice, who's our partner, works with these government entities and they bring the girls or boys to these different lighthouses. And in these lighthouses, reunification is always the goal. They walk in and they have a head to toe physical, and you guys can only imagine the things that are exposed during this physical. If they're pregnant, there's a different place for pregnant girls. There's so much that goes into to what Hope for Justice does. And then if reunification isn't an option, like if we find out that they don't have a family or their family was actually the ones who sold them and they'd probably do it again, they figure out a different option. And that different option is often teaching them a trade, like sewing or baking. There was a girl's birthday where we were there and we bought a cake from this bakery, and the bakery employed girls who have been rescued. Obviously, they don't want that to be public because their biggest goal is to not be defined by their past, but there's so much goodness that's taking place. So there was this little girl there. Her name was Smile. When they come in, they say, "What's your name?" And a lot of the time they're quite vulnerable, and so they don't always want to share what their name is. This little gem, she named herself Smile, and her smile was the most contagious thing I've ever experienced in my life. And so I was hanging out with her, and she was so shy but so kind, and just had this goodness in her eye that was like, she's gonna be okay. Like, you know, she's gonna be okay. She's seen a lot of stuff and she's gonna be okay. So afterward, I was talking with the country director at the time, and I was like, just tell me a little bit about her. Well, I had found out that she had been handcuffed to a bed for 6 months straight, and people just had their way with her every night, several times a night. And because of a raid that took place, and I believe it was Vietnam is where she came from, she was removed from that situation, introduced to Hope for Justice, and got out of that situation. And now she's in a trade. She's figuring out some different things that that'll just allow her to live a full life and not be put in that type of situation ever again. These are the types of stories that the foundation gets to assist with. It's donor dollars. It's 100% donor dollars that are funding stories like this and actually changing lives. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the One Heart label. That One Heart label was created by a student at our academy. And her name is Anita. She's since graduated, and she was going on to school at a college to get her graphic design degree. Well, we just found out a few weeks ago, about a month ago, maybe, that she's since graduated with her graphic design degree and is working at Ecuador Toyota as a graphic designer. And that's because of donor dollars. That's because of obviously like her will and her like fierceness to like be awesome and change her life. But because she was given a chance at our academy, because members like yourselves are sponsoring students or dollaring up or whatever it is, you're able to change the lives of so many people every single one of the people have a story like this. So just imagine what that looks like. So the number one thing that we get asked is, how do I get involved? Like, there's so much goodness that the foundation's doing. How do I get involved? The first thing I would say is share, share, share. So many people are unaware that we have our own social media. We have our own YouTube that has the most beautiful videos that you will ever see in your life. And we have our own website that was just redesigned at convention and is stunning. Like, if you are looking for a way to introduce your downline or some new members to the work of Young Living, just point them there, show them the beautiful stories and the impact that we can make as a collective group of people who want to make a difference. The next thing is so simple. It's dollar up your orders. It used to be Roundup for those of you who are familiar, but with the SCAVA changeover, we had to change it to dollar up because the platform didn't allow for it. Thank you, Stacy. The platform didn't allow for us to Roundup change. So now it's $1. But right now it's only available in the United States. Only about 10% of members dollar up or round up their orders. But we get $100,000 a month from people just dollaring up their orders. So if you can imagine, if we could get 50% of US members, that's $500,000 a month. That's $6 million a year for literally, you can't even buy a pack of gum for that. Not that we're into gum, but it's silly. So as you are having teams with your calls, as you are sharing the work of the foundation, help us encourage people to dollar up. All you have to do is select a simple box and it'll dollar up every time in the VO. So be sure to select that and help us shout that from the rooftop. And then the last one that we want to encourage you to do is shop purposefully. Whether it's Amazon Smile, we got about $80,000 this year just because people went to smile.amazon.com. It costs us nothing more. But Amazon is donating so much money. So the more people that we can just get to select the Young Living Foundation as their charitable organization, the more money that'll come into us. That is just you shopping at Amazon, which who doesn't love some Amazon shopping? Obviously, purchase one heart and one voice. 35% of all proceeds go to the Young Living Foundation from that. And we're at over $2 million from just one heart alone. And it just continues to go up from there. And then our artisan items, shop our artisan items. Since convention started, there's a few items that are going to the foundation. And for the holiday catalog, I'm so sorry. We're at about $290,000 from you guys just shopping beautifully made products for your friends and family. And then some of those proceeds are being transferred over to the foundation. So shopping purposefully is such a simple way to give back while you're also receiving something in return. And then to connect with us, here are all of the different channels. It's at Young Living Foundation. We have inspirational stories. We share stories of impact, and we're working on expanding it a little bit more so we can even share some donor stories, some member stories about why you all love the foundation. I mean, goodness, Stacy was talking. I didn't want her to stop when she started because it's just so amazing to hear all of your passions, all of your whys, and how the foundation is involved in those. There's so many other ways to get involved. Like I said, I could talk for hours, but I won't. If you want to sponsor a student, we still have some students that are available to sponsor, and that's at $75 a month. And some of my favorite stories are moms, they find kids who have the same ages or they're in the same grade as these different students. And they use it as pen pals. So the Academy actually uses their English class as a way to write letters to their sponsors. And then there's just this beautiful back and forth relationship. And then once we all make it to Platinum Retreat, you'll go there and you'll be able to meet your student and spend time with them and just like bring that relationship full circle and like enter into their lives. So that's it in a nutshell. Tracy, I couldn't agree with you more. I would love it if we could get an artisan catalog. We're working so hard to get our own page on the Scava platform. There's a few other things that they're trying to work out before we become a priority with Scava. But I agree, like, let's figure out a way that we can let everyone know these are the items that give back. I could not agree with you more. The name of the charity that you would search is just Young Living Foundation. And then if that doesn't work, put the in front of it, but it's not our whole name. It's just the shorter version. There you go. You guys are amazing at these comments. Thank you so much. Jordan, right now you actually have to search the different names, but if you go to buy the artisan items, but if you go to Scava and find the foundation and click on it and scroll to the bottom, there's this, you just scroll, you can see the different ones that are available there. What other questions do you guys have? Oh, I didn't tell you. So the building, the original school has been flattened. Platinum Retreat actually just was there. That land was semi-donated to the foundation, and we're changing it into a community center for the community of Chang'an. So there's an artisan group that's been made. Danette has some of the products. It's called Bromelia. And this is a community center now that so many people in Chang'an are going to be able to come together, all because of Young Living, all because of Gary. That whole community is just being changed so much. So I'm here to help you guys. I have a job because of all of you. The foundation literally exists because of all of you. So if you guys ever have any questions, or if you're doing any events and you want a one-page flyer, let me know. We're working on that one-page flyer. It should be done very, very soon, and then it'll be available to download on our website, and you can simply print it off and search there. If you're doing any holiday parties and you're interested in doing a fundraiser, there's a fundraiser platform on the foundation's website. You can go, you can build it out. It's a simple link that you can either text people. Everything is just done automatically right there. And then you can raise money as your Christmas party, which I know so many Young Living members do. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful way to give back during the holiday season. Do you guys have any other questions or anything that I can answer or talk about? Can we still go to Uganda? Stacey, I hope so. So right now, global shutdowns are still pretty prevalent. And so we don't have any plans to do any sort of service trips in 2022, especially remotely. Hey, Robin. But we are hoping that we can open them in 2023. With our new partnerships, things have changed a little bit. And so, we have some work to do, some legwork to do on our end, but trust me, I understand the value of getting out and seeing what donor dollars do. And so we're definitely fighting to figure out a way that we can bring as many members as possible to see the work of the foundation. Cindy just private messaged me and asked if it's possible to send gifts to your sponsored students. Yes, so sending anything to Ecuador is crazy hard and crazy expensive. It doesn't always make it, unfortunately. But yes, always try. We like to keep them under $25. We just want to be very careful that this student's not receiving an iPad from their sponsor and this student doesn't even have a sponsor. So if you do send gifts, we just ask that you are cognizant about what you're giving, the why behind it. I mean, gosh, we want them all to have everything that we have and more. But if you wanted to send them something, or like a gift card for Walmart or something like that, that is an option as well. To sponsor a student, you can go to younglivingfoundation.org/sponsor. It's a beautiful new feature on our website where you can select the gender, you can select the grade, and then you can scroll and see what students are still available to sponsor. Yeah, games are nice. We love things that they can do with their family, age appropriate books, coloring books, even the adult kids like coloring. My goodness, I like coloring books still. So those are always a really big win. And then, yeah, like if you wanted to do like a simple gift card to Walmart or whatever, that's great. If you have more information, or if you want more information about that, feel free to email sponsor@younglivingfoundation.org and they can take care of that. They do have a Walmart, but everything is really expensive there. Like what would cost us $10 here is like $25 there. I'm assuming it's the import fees. And yes, Cynthia is so right. There's so many different channels that you can give through. General is our goal. The general fund allows us to give money wherever money is needed. So if you're like, well, there's just so much goodness, who do I give to? Give to the general fund. I'll tell you, I think this month will be, we hit 1 million people impacted through the foundation since we started tracking it. There was a group, goodness, I don't remember when it was, but the school was in need of a bus. They found out a lot of kids weren't able to go to school because they didn't have transportation to get to school. And so some people like Ben Howden and Jeanette, I think you were there. There's a handful of these amazing people. Some guys from the EEC group, they all came together and fundraised and pooled their funds and were able to buy a school bus for the students. And now they can be picked up by school. So we're just knocking down those barriers to entry that are causing people to not get the education that every person deserves. It is a nice bus. It's a beautiful, I think it's like a Mercedes bus. It doesn't break down. It's going to last as long as we last. It's really, really beautiful. And it's so, Cynthia, you're so right. That's the most beautiful thing in Dollar Up is if a few people can just put their money together. If 100,000 people can put our money together, there's so much goodness that can take place with people just giving these small amounts regularly. The kids do get the benefits of using the oils. So the nurse at the school has a whole closet full of oils, and all oils that they use there are all of the different oils. I was playing soccer. I don't really like to play sports, but I was playing soccer with the kids and I got a cut in my hand, and this nurse runs out with helichrysum and is like pouring it all over me. It was absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorite parts of going to the academy is I get to learn a lot of the non-compliant stuff that we don't get to talk about at corporate. So what other questions do you guys have? I'm not sure if anyone had a chance to see our Giving Tuesday campaign that just took place last Tuesday. You guys, okay, first of all, talking straight for 4 hours is a very long time to talk. But
you wrapped it out, by the way.
It was unbelievable. We went in with a goal of $100,000 and had $50,000 of generous matchers, Amanda and Brian being two of them. And the whole goal was not only to fundraise, but to bring a community of people together and just ignite excitement about the work that the foundation's doing. And not only did we reach our goal of $100,000, but we exceeded it by $50,000, which is absolutely amazing. We gave away like $13,000 worth of giveaways, and we had over 700 unique donors, 700 individuals who donated to this campaign. All that just took place on a website and through social media. So it's another beautiful example of people coming together for the greater good to create change. And I'm thinking it's our first annual Young Living Foundation Giving Tuesday Change-a-thon. So yeah, and it's so easy to donate. That's one of the most beautiful things. So if you go to our website, you just go to younglivingfoundation.org/donate. It is very, very easy to donate. We just got PayPal as an option. I know a lot of people are interested in donating Bitcoin. We'll probably get on board. That's Eric's job. I'm not that girl. But we're trying to make sure that we can capitalize on these different ways that people can give if they want to give. If you want to donate out of your commissions, that's another great option. If you want to give 1% of your commissions, if you want to give 10% of your commissions, if you make more, you donate more. And so that's another really great way that you can get involved. And you don't even know it comes out of your check because it happens before you get your paycheck. So it's like free money. Okay, so Michelle, I didn't even recognize her company name, but Michelle donated and she won our grand prize, which was a trip for 2 to Lavender Days next year. And she'll be staying in the Mona Farm, the bed and breakfast, which I swear Joanna Gaines' jaw would drop. It is the most beautiful bed and breakfast that I've ever seen. Yeah, she won. She won. And so we're hoping to bring her out here and do some lunch with the foundation and hang out at corporate and just really, really get that whole experience. There was a distributor that won. There was a star that won a couple times. It was really, really cool how spread out all of the winners were. Christine, to answer your question, there actually is a place if you wanted to go in and do a larger donation. If you go to that younglivingfoundation.org/donate, there are some pre-selected buttons, but there is an option for other, and then you can just go there and type it in, and you can either do it monthly or a one-time donation, whatever you want. What else do you guys have for me? Okay, you're so welcome. That's one of the most annoying parts about working for the foundation is there are so many different things about it. Like we have this amazing leadership fund that we're hoping to turn into an endowment very soon. And what that is we're going to invest it, and then we're going to use the money to afford kids scholarships to further their education. So many things to talk about. I swear I could talk for hours, but it's just a rabbit hole that takes you from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. Do we have a sheet flyer already done with the donate link opportunities? Not yet. It's at final approval today, actually. I'm waiting for approval. But to donate, there's the 4 main channels to donate. There's our general fund, like I mentioned, and then our 3 pillars. Those are the best ways to get involved. We used to do it so they were like smaller projects or different ways to give, but some member feedback we got with that, it was just too complicated. And so we tried to simplify our messaging a couple of years ago, where it's very, very easy. If you have this passion, you can give here. If you just have a passion for Go to the foundation, you can give here. But when I get that link, we'll be sure to do a post on our social media channel, and it'll drive you to our shareable tools page on our website. Okay, I'll tell one more story, and then I will let you guys get on with your call. I'm actually going to share this probably at beauty school in a couple weeks. Tim shared it during the Flipping for Freedom, but for the time of year, I just think that it's a really, really impactful story. Hope for Justice was, so this was in South Carolina or North Carolina, somewhere over there. And one of the things that Hope for Justice does that's really beautiful is they don't like have them graduate and then send them off and then like, peace out, they'll never see him again. They have people, social workers who are invested in them for a while to come. And so it was February or March, and one of the social workers was coming to the house of this woman, and she had a 2-year-old son. So the social worker is walking up and looking at the house and noticed that her Christmas lights were still up. And so the social worker just kind of giggled and walked to the door and knocked on the door, and this mom answers with the 2-year-old baby on her hip. And so the social worker comes inside and is just connecting with her. And she goes, you know, why are your Christmas lights still up? Most people take those down like right after Christmas. Well, the mom proceeds to tell her that this is her first Christmas that she's had Christmas lights. This is the first Christmas that she's experienced with her son, because since she was just a little girl, she's been kept in a dog kennel. So every Christmas she didn't have an opportunity for Christmas lights. She was kept in a dog kennel, and that's where she spent all the time that she wasn't being trapped into domestic servitude. And so she wanted to make this memory last as long as it could possibly last, because this Christmas with her kid was just one of the most special memories that she's ever experienced. And these stories happen because of Hope for Justice, because of the constant care and the holistic approach that all of our partnerships take. So I will leave you with that story. I know that they can get a little heavy sometimes, but it's those heavy stories that just remind us that the work we're doing is right, and that Gary would be really proud of the work that we get to do, and would be really, really proud of the members that are constantly helping us further our mission. If anyone needs anything, I'm going to drop my email in here. It's mgriffith@youngliving.com. Whatever you guys need, please reach out. It's literally why I'm here.